We are not, in fact, feeling better today. If anything, we are feeling worse. We're going to address the elephant in the room. I'm aware I look insane, especially around the nose region. I believe that my nose is bleeding on the outside. It's fine. It's not fine, but it's fine. We're going to ignore it. We're just going to accept the fact that this whole series came at a very inopportune time. But we're pushing through for the season. 'Tis the season of giving. All right. So as promised today, we're going to talk all about ingredient prep. This is my version, my more sustainable version of meal prep. You know, in my experience working with clients and firsthand experience, I just find that traditional meal prep, making all of the perfectly curated Tupperware meals for the entire week, I find that it doesn't work for most people. It's too rigid, it's too time consuming, and honestly, by the end of the week, you're just completely sick of the meals that you made. So this is why I suggest doing something called ingredient prepping instead. This is going to look a little different to everybody, but essentially the idea behind this is prepping whatever you need to make your life easier when you go to cook. So me, for example, I am not super into cooking. I prefer when I can just kind of throw everything in a pan and then it's done within 10 or 15 minutes. So my ingredient prep is going to get me to that place where it is not a huge hurdle to cook, aka throw everything in a pan. So let's kind of break this down piece by piece. If we start with protein, this is definitely my big one. If you've been here before, you know that I will typically throw a few chicken breasts in the crock pot, shred it up, and call it a day, or call it a week. Because throughout the week, I can use that in salads, wraps, fajitas, bowls, stir fries. Like the limit does not exist. So even though I have a lot of this one protein for the week, it's not a specific recipe for the whole week. It's a lot more versatile, so I am way less likely to get sick of it. The next thing I'll usually prep is veggies, and I typically don't cook my veggies at the beginning of the week during my ingredient prep. I'll typically just prep these by chopping them up and then storing them in the fridge. And honestly, this is just because I don't know, there's a texture thing with reheating veggies that have already been cooked. I don't know, to each their own, but that's just my personal preference. And then the last thing I'll typically prep are carbs. These are really, really easy to make ahead of time. So now that we've broken down what ingredient prep means, I'm going to show you in the kitchen exactly how I'm going to take all of my groceries from this week, which were very little, and we're going to prep them to make my life easier for the rest of the week.
She went away on Christmas Day, didn't come back till New Year. He thought everything had changed, but it was all in his head, a sad invention. As soon as I mentioned the boy girl do their own thing, no lonely heart. So go on in, there's wood on the fire. She went away on Christmas Day, but he already knew this was coming. But still he made mistakes. Instead of just making friends, he went on bending. As soon as I mentioned the boy girl do their own thing, no lonely heart. So go on in, there's wood on the fire. She went away on Christmas Day, and he just didn't get it. But she needed a break, and all we could never tell, that all that tension was all invention. Boy, girl, do their own thing. No lonely.
Good evening. Wait, it's so dark. Is that better? Oh, it is better. My favorite PJs. So it's about 6:30. I just finished up with my last client of the day and took a shower immediately after. I'm kind of feeling better. I'm still not hungry at all. I kind of want some 75-cent ramen again. But I did kind of want to follow up with the ingredient prep that you saw, because the one thing that I didn't explain is that I also don't like to prep all of my proteins and all of my veggies right at the top, because then it starts to kind of feel like that meal prep mentality, right? Where I have to carve out 3 hours to get all of this stuff done. And that's not what I'm about. Instead, I would rather habit stack those things on top of each other. So for instance, today, I had like 2 hours between clients and I had to eat lunch. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to make my lunch, but at the same time, I'm also going to make things that I know I can use for the rest of the week. So I decided that my lunch was going to be that random conglomeration of a lettuce base with some potatoes and onions, ground beef, and then a little bit of sauce on top of it. But within that, we've got our veggies. Probably could have added more. Probably could have chopped up a tomato, but I was like done at that point. But we do have some veggies. We got our protein, we got our carb, we got our fat, and that's a balanced meal right there, baby. Nutritious. Can't ask for more, except maybe one more vegetable. So we're gonna end it here. Look, I am praying, not even for my sake, for your sake, that I feel better tomorrow, because I look horrendous. Like, I don't know why you would keep clicking on these videos. I look like Rudolph snorted cocaine off of someone's butt. I don't know why that was so specific, but that's the vibe that we are presenting. I think starting tomorrow is when we will start taking donations. I am like 3 days ahead of you guys. So tomorrow is the first day that the intro of the challenge drops. So I'm very nervous. Up until probably the moment that it is scheduled to go live, I'm probably going to consider not doing this at all. I get nervous what you guys are going to think. Okay, we're going to sign off. I have to sneeze. Okay, bye.